3.3 major project, staying focused. In this video I want to discuss this large-scale sample. The knitted fabric is once again made from an Aran grey yarn, which is to resemble the armour that I have been researching. Now, one thing that I've been finding quite difficult is a colour palette. So I've allowed the materials to determine the colour palette of this piece. It's made from foam, and they are actually fishing floats. And the way that I've constructed each of the 4 panels, which I will demonstrate shortly, has enabled the materials to become quite durable. So if this piece was used in performance such as dance, it will withstand the movement that the performer will dance or use the item. But it is also durable for the exploration for the viewer to hold and touch and play with the tactility and the structure. Now, as we can see, this is a large-scale piece made up of 4 large squares. Through my making, I have noticed that the back is just as interesting as the front, but a percentage of the time I always seem to use the reverse of the knit, because I think it just gives a nicer tactile quality to the work. Now, before I explore the shape of the body and so forth, again, this piece of armour, which has come from researching and looking at the structure of chainmail, this actually plays and still uses the ideas of colour and tactility and a sense of comfort, which through my research and projects I've been trying to sustain the idea in my work. I want the pieces to perform, so I've also been looking at the design concept of the construction. Now, this is just quite a simple idea to give me an idea of how the knitted mixed media would 3-dimensionally work against the body. Now, my research informs me that chainmail is very heavy, and a majority of how it is displayed in the cabinets within the museum, especially at the Wallace collection, it's quite a rigid construction because it's made out of metal rings. So adapting this idea has given me something that's quite flexible and quite pliable, and even just the simple construction of a square will just give me the wearability, but this also enables me to play with the silhouette and also play with the stretch qualities of the materials. The 4 squares allow me to change the colour palette, and it also allows me to touch the fabric quality. Through research, I've been able to also have more understanding of the designer's atelier. Now, we see the fashion houses, Jean Paul Gaultier, John Galliano and Alexander McQueen demonstrate their showpieces on the catwalk, and they're very performance, theatrical, but there is also an element of design processes, making processes, and I've also learnt that a percentage of the pieces there are just a one-off of the garment, and then through special order a secondary one might be made for a client. The pieces that I've been making at the moment have been taking quite a long time to make and construct, and I now understand why the atelier put such a high price on the work, because of the craftsmanship, the handwork that goes into the pieces, and also the expense of the materials that are used, or the luxury materials. So it's almost as if there's no expense spared with these garments. I think it's an argument with the ateliers as to whether practically, financially, for the fashion house, is it viable? But researching the subject matter, I feel, in my opinion, that this is where design ideas and design processes now begin to make connections with fine art aspects and opinions, because a percentage of the work that is sustained with making these pieces, it maintains research with history, it maintains themes of history such as armour, and I think this is also where the idea of designer and the idea of the fine artist actually fuse together and work in sync to produce interesting theories of what is design and what is fine art.